Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and as you can see we are fully into the fall vibes over here, even though it's still like 90 degrees outside for us, but inside of the house we are fully into fall. And that's actually what inspired today's video. I've been super into more like cosplay makeup and editorial stuff like that, so I wanted to go all out. I had this idea for a kind of like harvest festival fae nymph sort of thing. I'm not even sure what I'm going to title this yet. Just strap in. I don't have a ton of experience with this kind of makeup. Really, I have this palette. It's the Athena painting palette from You Can Be. I got it from Amazon because my husband wanted to do a Frankenstein cosplay recently, and that's the only time I've done like full face, chest, arm kind of makeup, and it really inspired me. It made me want to get more into it. But you're going to be coming on this journey with me because it's sort of still new to me, and we're just going to hope that it comes together, that my vision turns out exactly the way that I want it to. But either way, we're going to have a fun time. As you can tell, well, hopefully you can tell, I did glue down my eyebrows and I covered them a little bit. I didn't cover them all the way because it's a pain and we're going to be covering it with face paint in a minute anyways. Let me go ahead and put on a headband just to keep my hair out of the way. We will be putting on a wig at the end to bring the whole look together. There we go. Not my cutest look, but hey, we really just need to have the hair out of the way. So my idea with this palette, and for sort of the base for the whole makeup, was to mix together a sort of mustardy color. So I'm going to use this more golden yellow right here, and then I'm going to mix it to make mustard. You put a little bit of red, a little bit of orange, a little bit of brown, and that's going to be our whole base. And I don't want it to be too deep because then we can go in with highlights and more like contour shades using oranges and reds and stuff like that. So we don't want it to be too dark. Here's our shade right now, and that's pretty close to what I want, so we're just gonna go ahead and get that all over my face. It's nice and warmed up. Just spreading it out, and then I will blend it in. Oh yeah, I think that's perfect color for what I was going for. We're not going to go too far down. We're going to go a little bit down, but the top I'm going to change into at the end is pretty high on the neckline. I'm just blending it in with this flat kabuki. Now that we have that laid down, I'm just going with a puff just to make sure there's no streaks. There's our base. I feel like it's pretty nice and even and smooth, and so we're gonna go into the next step. When I was doing that Frankenstein makeup, which I used way too much product, I didn't know exactly what I was doing at the time, and I had to do like a bunch of layers. And once I got towards the end, the one thing that saved it was I set all of the like cream, the green cream makeup with green eyeshadow. I went into one of my Juvia's Place palettes, and that smoothed everything out and made it look nice and even and matte. So we're gonna do that instead of setting with like a translucent powder. We're gonna go into this Juvia's Place, the Nomad palette, into this shade. I don't think it has a name. It doesn't have a name, but it's this one. It's a yellow with a little bit of a mustardy undertone, and I think that's gonna set everything nicely. Just gonna load up my brush. When I did this for my husband, I mean, we were going to like a comic book convention, and it was something like 92 degrees out, and we had to walk a mile in the sun, and it held up really well. I'm also going to go into the shade Oro right here from Juvia's Place. It's the Festival palette. What I love about these bigger ones, you can see this one's a little bit bigger than this one. These have the big pans, so it's so easy to get a big fluffy brush like this in there. I'm gonna make sure it's not too dark, so I'll start here. It's a tad bit darker than the rest of our face, so we're gonna start layering. I don't know if you can see, it almost has a tiny bit more of like an orangey tone. And we're gonna go deep. I'm just layering. Where I live, the leaves don't really change, unfortunately, but I don't know, I'm always so inspired by the colors of fall. So we're gonna go back into the Nomad palette. I'm gonna go into this shade right here. It's a nice warm orangey brown. See right there, gorgeous. This is just an angled contour brush from Billion Dollar Brushes, I think it is. Yeah, Billion Dollar Brushes. I'm kind of connecting the cheek to the forehead. Now I want to reach for this Morphe palette. This is the 35M Boss Mode palette. It is, I'm so sorry for how dirty it is, but you can see it is very much a quintessential fall palette. I love pulling it out at this time of year. I'm going to go into this orange shade. I'm going to go further back. You know, before we did like the full cheek, almost like bronzing. Now I just want to use this to define a little bit more. And we're going to go a step further. We're going to use red and maybe brown to deepen even further. Now the smaller brush, this is a Persona brush. It's a blush and highlight. We're going to go with the blush side. I'm going to go into this shade from the Festival palette. I think it's Izafa. It's going to be way, like, right up against our hairline. I'm going to blend it out with the highlight part because we don't want it to go too far in. Being more precise with this color. I'm going to put a little bit just to define that line right there. There we go. I like that. I want to go a step deeper. I'm going to use this shade from the Warrior 2 palette. It's called Jamada. I'm going to be super, super careful with it, so I'm going to be using this Luxie 510 foundation brush because I just want to be able to pick it up with this narrow tip. I'm really just going to have that right here. Not going to take it any further. We're just going to grab the Persona brush again, blend it out a little. This shade has a little bit of brown in it as well. For under the eyes and kind of like the highlight points, I'm going to dip into two palettes, actually into the Warrior 2 and go into that white shade so that I can mix it with this yellow shade from the Nomad palette. Go under the eyes. Oh yeah, brighten that right up. If we have to touch up the cheek a little, that's not a big deal. We'll go ahead and do that. For the eyes, I wanted to bring in some more of my favorite fall tones, which are obviously greens. I love all of these greens. A lot of them are like a little bit grungy and dingy, and I think it pairs so well then with the oranges and the yellows and the reds and all that kind of stuff. A little bit of these browns that have some mustardy undertones. So we're going to use this Morphe 35M Boss Mode for our eyes primarily. I don't know if I'll dip into something else. I didn't actually plan any of this. We're just winging it. First, we're going to start with this shade right here. It's called Express Yourself. It's this green. And I'm using a Luxie Large Eye Blending Brush. It's a number 250. For this, like, we're gonna, the eyebrows don't matter. We're gonna go as high as we want to go, but we're gonna start off here and just blend this all over the eyelid. We're being a little messy right now. Don't worry, it'll come together. Now that we have that green going, we might add more later, but for now we're going to switch over. We're going to use this shade. It is Red Carpet. And We're gonna mix it with a little bit of that orange shade from before called Fired Up. And I'm just using a Wet n Wild like blending brush that I've had forever, and it's actually really nice. This we're gonna blend above the green and into our eyebrows. I actually don't like that mix, so I'm just gonna go in with the orangey shade. I'm gonna connect it to the nose. This brush to blend this to the forehead and the temple. Oh god, now that I think about it, actually, I didn't highlight the center of the forehead when I did the under eyes. With that same brush, I'm actually going to go into this shade right here. It's called Stroke of Luck. It's just a little bit lighter than the previous green we were using. I'm going to go all under the eye with it. I'm actually going to go into the inner corner too. Actually going to go back into the Athena face paint palette with just an angled brow brush. And I'm going to assume these are safe around the eyeball area. Put that into the outer portion of my lash line, my waterline. The same but with orange. Into like the middle portion with the orange. And lastly, we're going to go in with yellow. Go with that angled brush from before that I used for the red, and I'm just going to extend it up in the corner of the lash line up. Create a little bit of a wing. I want to go in and use some shimmer. I think I'm going to use these two shades on the lid over our green. I'm going to go ahead and put this Pop Star shade. It's kind of an earthy bright green that has some gold. It's like a greeny gold. And then this one is like a goldy white, goldy champagne. For that, we're going to use this Luxie 211. It's technically a concealer brush is what it says, but it's just a flat brush. Did wet my brush a little bit, but this shade is gorgeous. It's always been one of my favorite shades in this palette. And try not to mess up that wing. Just put it on with the flat brush, and then I blended out the edges a little bit with this Luxie 207 medium angled shading brush. All I really did was tap out the edges with that. I'm going to use that whitey shade to highlight our inner corner. A little bit of it. Actually, I want to take a little bit of the white from earlier, use that to highlight a little bit more, highlight on my nose, right here on the bridge. Get some of that orange from earlier on this Persona highlight side, above my lip. Actually, let's connect it to the nose. That might be cute. Is this the eye look I was originally envisioning? Not really, but it's kind of interesting. Alright, I'm going to put on some mascara. We still have some other finishing touches to put together. I like to do mascara, wait for it to dry, then I curl my lashes very carefully so I don't rip them out. So that's why I'm doing mascara now. While that dries, I had an idea to do like some little faux freckles. Faux freckles aren't something that I don't think I've ever done actually, but I have this House Labs liquid liner in the shade Whiskey. It's a brown liquid liner, and I never use it, but I thought it could be pretty good for these purposes. A few here and there. So for lips, I wasn't really sure what to do. I'm going to try something, and if it doesn't work, we'll do something else. I'm going to go in with two shades. This is Half Caked in the shade Bordeaux. It's their liquid lipstick. And then this is a Lime Crime Lip Blaze in the shade Herb. Alright, so I'm going to put on my wig, change the outfit, and I'll be right back. So here we are with the finished look. The wig sort of covers up some of the work that we did. Yes, I did not put on a wig cap. We're ignoring that. And then a lot of the really nice work we had up here is sort of covered up by the bangs. For it only being my second time and only my first time on myself doing like full face paint makeup and going more creative with it, I think it came out pretty decent. I definitely learned a lot of things along the way, and hopefully you guys will be on the journey with me as I keep making more of these and getting increasingly creative and hopefully better. I would hope that with practice. I think with the hair and we have the braids and everything, it comes together for that sort of harvest, festival, fairy nymph kind of vibes, which was what I was going for. It didn't 100% turn out the way that I envisioned, but that's just how it goes sometimes. Again, since it's a completely new sort of style for me, I'm just kind of winging it a lot of the time. I did like a lot of the gradation we got with layering the reds and the oranges and stuff. Hopefully it comes across on camera exactly how it is in person. If I redid it, I would definitely do a lot of things differently, but I don't think it necessarily was a huge fail. But overall, I'm not mad at it. You guys, please let me know down below what you think. Anyways, I hope you guys will subscribe if you enjoyed this, give it a like if you liked it. I hope you're doing well, and until next time, bye!